What's up, Gould Miners? Today we welcome my good friend Jacqueline Matoza to the show. She is a wealth, an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to all things real estate, finance, and tax planning. And as I like to call her, the real estate and finance Swiss Army knife. This girl knows it all, and I'm super excited for her to drop some knowledge bombs on all of you in today's episode. Jacqueline spent a lot of her young career as a tax planner at Ernst Young, and early on in the episode, we go over some of the tax planning strategies that she took from that time at Ernst Young and how she applies it to her real estate endeavors today. Later on in the episode, we cover some of the acquisition strategies that she's used over the years, such as subject to and BRRRR, to build her real estate portfolio. And then finally in the episode, we talk about some of the work that she's doing currently in the private equity and in the real estate fund space, and why investing in some of these alternative investment vehicles can be an investor's way of double dipping, where you are not only making money, but saving taxes at the same time. Whether you are a super seasoned real estate investor or you are brand new to the game, there are tidbits in this episode that you are going to find super relevant. So without further ado, everyone, let's welcome to the show, Jacqueline Matoza. Jacqueline, welcome to the Gold Mine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we know each other like, I would say well at this point. You know,
Absolutely.
I feel like I know you pretty well. And what's interesting is, like, I was thinking as I was getting prepared for this, I was like, how would I describe Jacqueline and what is it that Jacqueline does? Because, like, it's complicated. So maybe in one or two sentences, maybe perhaps you could summarize to the audience what exactly Jacqueline does. And by the way, I came up with my own description, but I want you to go first. And then
you're testing me. Okay. I love a good test. I'm very studious, so it's good. I think I would just tell people, like, I'm someone who left a big corporate job as a certified public accountant that helped, billionaires and corporations become the behemoths that they are, like the Facebooks, Googles, Apples, HPs. And I left just to simply make millionaires. A lot of Americans think 6 figures is a lot of money, and it frightens me being a money person. Like, you really need 8 figures in the bank to retire at our generation, and millennials are the next largest generation after the baby boomers. So, I'm here to just give access to money and give access to knowledge. And I'm a tax planner by trade, and I think in learning, how to structure deals and how to work as many deals as I did, I inherently learned a lot about everything and silly things because I valued companies and stuff. So now I would say I'm probably someone who is doing everything they can to give people access to money, to do business, and to help people with understanding money, wealth, real estate.
That was more than two sentences,
So I'm like, who am I? And then where am I going? Felt appropriate.
I'm totally messing with you. I'm so messing with you right now. That's awesome. And I want to, like, even just in that, there's some things that we should definitely talk about. Yeah. If I were to describe you, I would say Jacqueline. And by the way, like, we have a different relationship because you've been helping me with some stuff on the real estate side, on the finance side. So, like, I would consider you a real estate and finance Swiss Army knife. That is how I would describe you, because you know so much about so many things. And what's cool is that, and this is something that we've talked about before, is you kind of have found this way to merge all of these different things together in a way that's, like, palatable and consumable and people understand. Because I think when people think about finance, when they think about tax planning, when they think about real estate, even despite the plethora of information there is out there, like, there is almost like a fear of the unknown factor. Like, it feels like a big mountain to climb. And at least in our interactions, you've made it seem, sound so simple. So, it's fascinating, Yeah. So let's dive into that. So we talked about, like, this merging, or like this idea that you want to bring, real estate, tax planning, and banking, and kind of like merge all of these worlds together, because you have experience in all these different worlds and you can kind of bring them all together because there are people in those fields that have like there are tax planners that have no idea how banking works or real estate, so it's interesting that you talk about that. Like how are you doing that right now? Like, what are you doing right now to kind of merge those worlds together? And what does that look like a decade from now?
Oh God, vicious business. Yeah, that's a good question. So I have 4 client-facing businesses, and one that for now is mine that I don't solicit. The way I build my business model is Venn diagrams, right? Like I always try to think about like once you build rapport and trust with a client, how do you keep them in your ecosystem, right? Because I feel, I can do services, but if I don't educate people, then they're stuck on me. And what happens if I decide to like go on hiatus for a year, because I want to start a family or whatever. So I always try to teach people to fish, right? And people have a hard time with that. They just want to do what they do and they want to stay in their niche. And so for me, it's the 4 pillars, right, that I really think about so that I can service people and meet people where they're at. So I've got wealth management. In wealth management, that company, we're doing private equity, we're doing funds, we're doing assets under management, we're doing, foundational finance stuff for human beings. So we work on building that really big financial foundation. And then we take your investment. It's like a pyramid. And depending on where you're at, there's more money to risk or less money to risk, depending on how much you're making, how young you are, how much, how many dependents you have. There's no situation is identical. And then, we work on that financial base, making sure you have life insurance for a living, making sure you have, all of your retirement accounts, everything cruising at a clip that Charles Schwab and Fidelity are not going to do. So we do hedge fund trading. We open that up and democratize it. Burn. It's true. Like everybody else wants to set it, forget it. And frankly, I think that's the thing, right? So many people rely on CFPs, certified financial planners. That is their licensure title, but it's a bag of bullshit. Like you can't advise, you can't tell clients what to do. You are taking your firm's directive and you are giving that to your clients. If the firm changes, you're telling your clients, right? You're not an independent thinker. You're the big man upstairs told me, go. This is why Vanguard, Fidelity have gotten so big, right? They hold a ton of retirement money and they're sitting on it, making trillions off of it. So for me, at the firm that I'm working at, we're advisors. So we look at taxes, we look at your wealth, we look at how to structure and build your business as well as your personal life so that you can be very successful. So that's the key differentiating model in the route that I'm in with my wealth management firm. Then I've got funds for people to invest in. So I've got real estate projects. They're going all the time. I'm always trying to like keep things going and keep things moving. I've got land plays they can do, which are short term. I've got, longer term 2-year holds. And then I got the 5-year holds. So I try to have something for every investor. And that's my fund private equity space where I'm building. And then, I've got my educational arm. So my 360 Real Estate University. This is where you're going to come in and you're going to come to an event and be like, yeah, I've heard everything real estate. And you're going to walk out like my brain hurts. I've never even understood any of this. Like kind of how you felt after we sat down and had drinks, right? You're like, yeah. I didn't even know what I didn't know that I needed to know. Wall Street level people in that mentorship group. We've got Brad Blazer, $2 billion in capital raised in a lifetime. That's unheard of. We've got big multifamily people like Alex Lovely in there doing big things. We've got me teaching flipping and B2B businesses. I'm bringing someone in to do B2C business financial advisory, right? So again, 2 different types of financial advisory work. We've got, how to wholesale at a 7-figure level, consistently. Coaches Abdullah, he's 28, burning wholesaling. That guy's cutting 6-figure checks like almost 3 times a week. It's like stupid. But once you learn the system, then you're off to the races, right? And it's really just learning about scaling with him and teaching you how to cold call, teaching you how to, so that is going to be my legacy Danny, that's my future forever. I don't plan on doing everything else forever. I mean, I'll always be a solicitor and a referral agent, but that's my main bread and butter. And then I have consulting. So I do a lot of business management consulting. I consult for people who come in and they think they're going to give me services. And then they're like, I need you. Can you just take all of this for me? And I kind of become like the treasury department for companies and the ops hound, and I'll go in and like triage their businesses, because most business owners are really good at selling their product and marketing it. They're not good at doing the back office side. And that's where I really get to nerd out. And they're like, my brain does not compute, right? So I'm getting in more and more with like private equity companies, family offices. And it's getting exciting. Like that's the fun. That's where I get to really like amp up and make them more money and show my really sexy skills. So in the private equity space, we're working on people who are doing done for you government contracting businesses, done for you e-commerce businesses. They're great at what they do, but they don't know how to package and exit for 9 figures and get their clients where they need to be. So, that's their dream place to be in. They just buy these companies, smash them, grow them, and then offload them and peel them off. So that's another area that I'm flirting and dabbling in. It's been really, really fun to watch the businesses scale and grow. And so those are my 4, like, this is where I work with people. And then my other business is government contracting. So I have my own government contracting where I lease space to federal government agencies for fun.
Just on the side, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like a side gig
people all the time, right? Like, what if one day they're like, we need a hotel? I'll be like, hey, I got a hotel guy.
There we go.
Jenny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot, right? But once a client comes in, they kind of just go through the whole Venn diagram, and like they usually hit 3 or 4 of the 4.
So let's peel back the layers a little bit, because people see where you're at right now, but there's obviously a story. There's what got you here. So let's actually go back to your tax planning days. You were at Ernst Young, yeah?
Yeah,
and,
7 years.
For 7 years. So what were some of the, and we'll keep this tangential to real estate, because obviously, like most of our listeners here are real estate investors in some capacity. So what were some of the key takeaways, like as a tax planner, and how are you applying that today to the real estate ventures that you have going on?
Yeah, so that is a great question. I mean, I think my first tax return I did in the high net worth individual was a board of directors for one of our clients. And I was like, man, this guy turned $30 million through his P&L and made $30 million, and he paid $1,000 in taxes. And I thought I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't do tax. Like I did very few tax returns in my life. I'm like, this is processing stuff. I don't want to process. I want to be a thinker. And I was like, I think I did something wrong. And I told my senior manager, I'm like, either I did something wrong or you need to educate me, because I'm missing a picture. Because I think I started at like $52,000 and I was paying like $14,000 a year. I'm like, how's this? Like, what in the heck is going on? Something is not computing. Right? And it came down to real estate, 100%. And that was very disturbing to me. I'm like, okay. And then it kind of brought me back into my like 15 to 18-year-old age, where I was working at a real estate firm, and I worked with, very higher end office, and I learned about commercial real estate. And this lady's like, go learn money. And then I like heard her in the back of my voice, in the back of her voice, in the back of my head. I was like, go learn money. Here I am learning money. So that was one of my key takeaways. Like, real estate can wash out $30 million worth of stock gains, income on an IPO and do a lot, right? So for me, that was lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is learning rate arbitrage and leverage, like capital markets, how you borrow at this rate and then you lend out at that rate, or you put it in an investment that's going to be at a, 15 or more rate, right? So if you're borrowing at 5 and you're making 10%, you're going to take that debt on all day, which for me, from my childhood, taking on debt, I was like, my parents went bankrupt. Like, I was like, like I had this like immediate visceral reaction to it. And then I turned around and went and got a 0% credit card and bought a condo. So but I was like,
That's
all right,
funny.
let's go take this money out. Let's do this 0% cash advance. And this was back in the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got a car for 0%. Like, I was all about 0% game because I knew my income was going to go higher. I knew
sure.
I could rent the house out. I always knew there was like a fallback. Like, I'm always like plan B, C, D, E, F, G. So those were probably like my key takeaways. But like the thing that I learned, which became my, I don't want to say like raison d'etre is French, like my lethal weapon. Like, we'll talk about that Swiss Army knife thing where you tuck it away and nobody knows it's there until you need it. Yeah. Like, I learned the person with the most options always wins. And the person with the most knowledge and the person with the most resourceful thinking, critical thinking, that ability for me to pivot on a dime and recalibrate. Like, clients would come to me and be like, I want this. Kind of like you. I want this. And I'm like, well, what about this? It gets you the same way. Just right now, this is easier and faster and simpler. Right. And it kind of always brought me to the table because clients were like, I have a problem, just come fix it, right? Because I learned very quickly about legal, taxes, treasury. You know, I spent a lot of time in all the divisions, our operational, supply chain, logistics, because every transaction has a tax. And as a head of international tax, I was responsible for everything globally at the age of 28. So you really have to think on your toes and think about where can I bleed the taxes and reduce the taxes? And you have to start thinking pretty creatively. You got to understand the big 5D picture, and then you got to come down, and then you got to come back out. And it's a rare brain for sure. Those would be my 3 massive takeaways from my tax career.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, like, the rate arbitrage is something, you know, that I've definitely thought about. Like, and obviously, like, I know that you can't like maybe go into super detail, but like, what would be an example of like rate arbitrage that you've seen in the real world where you were like, oh my gosh, like that person just made like a really good decision taking on that debt?
I mean, we see it all the time in real estate, right? Creative financing, especially this is why I rushed launching my university, because the timing and the cadence of where we are in the economy, people don't have to have a lot of money and they can make a boatload of money. And in 2 to 3 years, your life could exponentially change if you're willing to just sit down, shut up, learn, put your head down, and forget everything else. Just get lost in your company, get lost in strategies, and get lost in work. Because I was looking at the foreclosure rates. I don't know if you were paying attention to those. In January of 2024, they went up 13% on completion of foreclosures. That means they weren't just listed and taken off. That means they went through to close, which we got from 5% the month before, right? And so for me, like, I'm always looking at data and I'm always looking at numbers, so I know when I need to pivot and focus my energy somewhere. And I'm tracking on this because I want to know the highest markets. I want to know where my team's going to be poised to tack. And I want to make sure that we have people trained up and ready to go. And everyone's like all hands on deck, ready to go. So what we do, the biggest rate arbitrage I've seen, and it's kind of sad, but I stay in the space of I am helping people, you know, because at the end of the day, having a foreclosure on your credit, you can't rent for 7 years. You can't do anything for 7 years. Anything that requires credit, like, you may as well just throw it out the window. And if you don't own a house anymore because you went into foreclosure on this house, right, you're really going to be living on the couch with somebody in somebody's house. And that's not a fun situation for people to be in. But I focus on the creative financing, right? Like, I do a subject to. So I'll take over the loan. I'll say, hey, this is going to close. Right now, I'll pay for you to move out. So I'll get a moving truck. And I'm like, load the truck up, have these people loaded up. It's like $5,000 max, you know, and go. And the minute the truck comes, the documents have to be signed, keys have to be in hand. And you've forgiven, you walked away, right? And I assume their mortgage. Well, I'd assumed a $30,000 mortgage. That's it on like a $500,000 house, which was just insanity to me, but like there was no option. This person they were jobless. I couldn't keep them in that house. I really wanted to give them their house back, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work where I wasn't at risk and going to be in the same situation foreclosing on them.
Yeah.
So I took a $30,000 mortgage. I think the payment was like $238 a month. And then I turned around and I found someone who had really bad credit, but a great job. Like they had a business, but they washed all their tax returns out. And they weren't paying themselves a W-2 to get over that hurdle. So I turned around and rented that thing for $2,500, and like the interest rate on this person's loan was like 2.95. And I charged them 5% interest on a seller finance carry. So I did a 2-year lease with an option to buy. And I wanted them to fix their tax returns and do them legally so that if they needed a third party loan, but everything was negotiated for, like, if you want me to sell or carry, this is the interest rate. This is that. You got to give me the down payment up front. So I know you're serious and you got skin in the game. And then you're going to rate spread, right? So I was making $2,500. He was paying me. I was paying like $250, we'll call it, right? I mean, pure cash flow. And then what I ended up doing was just taking a few extra months and getting rid of that debt. And then I turned around and refinanced and I pulled pretty much 75% of loan to value back out and went and bought like 20 more of those. So like, I mean, for very little negotiations, right? I helped someone not hit their credit. I fixed their loan. I got it back current. I got it back on track by negotiating with the bank. I didn't have to pay it off, but it's just easier to do it under my credit than their credit, blah, 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 right? So, I mean,
right.
I walked away with, 75% of $500,000 and I paid $1,400 for a quick claim deed and I was off to the races and this guy was still, paying me $2,500, obviously back into the numbers. So, the mortgage and interest and everything's covered, but, then I could go and buy a lot more subject to. And then I always knew that guy was going to carry the 5%. So I knew what my loan was going to be. And then I backed into it and I rate arbitrage the loan because he was higher risk because he had bad credit, no income, still on a W-2. So I knew, it's a private money loan, right? So those are always higher. So I added 2 points on it. And, I think I made like over $800,000 on that property. Like just from everything else, like the spiral effect of reusing someone else's equity, and then the rate on the loan and my loan versus his loan. And I had no money.
Right. Cause you did subject to. So, I mean, if for people back at home who are listening, you might be like, what is subject? Subject to is basically you're assuming it's almost like a mortgage assumption, but not really because the mortgage still stays in the original owner's name. You're taking over title and you are committing in that time to continue to make the payments. And then there's verbiage in the contract that basically says if like you fail to make the payments, then the seller, like the owner, the original owner gets the property back. So question though, Jacqueline, because honestly, like I've looked into this like pretty, like relatively in depth and there seem to be a lot of people online, who, kind of give the warning sign or like give the warning off that like the bank can basically call the note at any time.
Yep.
How have you ever run into that issue? And if you haven't, like what would the plan be if like that were to happen? Right.
So I only sub to high equity. So if the bank calls the note, I can refinance it, work my numbers backwards. Cause right, I always do sub 2 with a lease with an option because then I'm at least making 6 figures in 2 years. So that's $50,000 a year on one property, right? So it's a mathematical equation. This is where understanding numbers and financial modeling is super critical, right? But if you buy it at like 50% loan to value, they call the note, turn around and go get another note. What do you care? You're like, okay, I'll refinance. You know what? They'll probably refinance you. So it doesn't really matter. So it's like a just in case. I've never ran into it.
The reason subject to, or the reason, I mean, look, like when rates are coming down, the lender's not going to call that paper because they want the more expensive paper, right? They want to make more money. But like right now that rates are adjusting up, that like the argument was like, because they've gone up, a lot of those notes are getting called due. So that's one of the reasons why, especially in this environment, Subject 2 became so popular, because it was like, wait, I can assume a mortgage, or basically assume a mortgage, take possession of this property and like get a lower rate. So, but it's interesting, like refi, they call the note, you refi it. Yeah, you're refining it, but probably at a higher rate than you were at before, which I think was the whole like.
But you have the equity, right? So it doesn't matter. You can keep the loan low while the equity is bad, and then you can refile later at a lower rate and get the equity out,
Yeah. And I think what you said there makes a lot of sense. So like, if you're going to do something like this, don't take it where the guy or gal is like over leveraged and like,
Like I had a guy who came onto my coaching call the other day in my 360. We have biweekly coaching calls. You guys are all welcome to come. It's free. And he was like, yeah, I was always told like low equity. And I was like, like who? And because no one wants those, because they're like, shake them dice and roll them. Right? I was like, what? Who is teaching you? They don't get numbers. That's not numbers. Yeah. That's someone who's gambling. And to me, again, right? Like you're going to hear me say this over and over, Danny, right? It's like, I don't want volumes of deals. I've not done that many real estate transactions. If you really look at me in the grand scheme, I've been investing since I was 22. I mean, I made over $1 million on 3 properties. Like I don't waste my time. I'm like, I see these people doing 5 flips a month. I'm like, oh man, I'm exhausted. Like, I don't want to chase these contractors. I feel bad for you. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is awful. So I'm lazy. I'm very lazy.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, Jacqueline is an HGTV star and was on HGTV flipping house. Let's talk about that real quick. Can we just that's a great segue. You did do some flips.
I'm lazy.
You're famous now. You're famous though. You're famous, right?
I'm not famous. No.
First of all, like, how did you get like walk? You had some flipping experience. Yeah. And then they were like, hey, come do this show. We'd love to hear the story behind that.
Yeah, I'm crazy. That's the story. They're like, crazy makes for good TV. Boom, get her on. I mean, I did body slam my partner in a rug on TV. I rolled him in it and body slammed him. People look at me and think I'm like so innocent and reserved, and then they get to know me and they're like, she's bad shit. I don't, like I flipped, I BRRRRed. I didn't even know what BRRRR was until somebody's like, oh, you're a BRRRR. And I was like, what the heck is this? To buy, remodel, rent, refinance, repeat. That was me. I did a condo when I was 22 that I bought at the Studs. I bought a 2-unit in San Diego, and then I upgraded to owning part of a building, 50% of a building in San Francisco that we subdivided into condominiums and sold. Every time I sell, I have the highest comp in the market. If you look back at my childhood, I was a very right brain person. Like I loved being creative. I was always drawing, coloring, making everything pretty and organized and clean and clearing my space. So I think like that just, as a CPA, like my OCD was filled, but I'm like, ugh, all I do is like left brain stuff. Like I want to go do something right brain. So I'd come home and like paint the walls. I'd be like, I could pay somebody $5,000, or I could just take 6 shots and put on some music and paint the walls. Like, here we go. This is fun. And it's fun to me. Like tiling is fun. I'm like a world renowned tiler, and my contractors are always trying to hire me. I'm like, no, just mine. I only do my properties. So kind of weird like that. Like I have the math brain, but I have the art brain. And so I realized while I was on HGTV filming that, flipping homes and remodeling them was my art. That was something I gained a lot of pleasure. Everyone in my family looked at the properties I bought and they were like, you're insane. Why would you buy this property? It's a dump. It's ugly. But then at the end, they're like, oh, right? They're like, I can't even believe this is what you made. Like, how did you have the vision to move these walls and do this stuff? Yeah. And like my unit in San Francisco was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. When I bought it, I sold it 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. People were like, how did you do that? Floor plan remodeling. So for me, like they came to me, Then I started a business in Dallas where I was doing more turns, middle market turns, auctioned homes. I had the video on I had a channel. I think it's still open on Instagram because I can't figure out how to merge my Instagrams. But my Facebook is gone. But yeah, Jackie Flips Dallas, which I hate the word Jackie, but it was just funny. And so I was flipping Dallas in 2017 to 2020. And with my business partner, my LLC was I Quit, like I with quit LLC. So it was a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot of fun. We had a blast. We were like, yeah, we're quitting corporate America. And this was our campaign. And that was what I documented in our social media. Like I'd take videos of us touring the properties that were going up for auction, me at the auction house on the back, of the cinder block wall for the planters, like staring eye to eye with the guy. Cause I'm short, right? I'm 5'7" for a girl. I guess that's tall, but, compared to these like texting boys, like I'm short.
Yeah.
So I just did what I had to do to get where I needed to be. I'm like, if he sees me, he can't miss me. I'm like eye line sight, right? So again, this is my resourcefulness, right? Like, get out of my way, guys. Like, I've always been like, okay, boys, you're done. Get out of my way. I'm going to be taller than you. I'll figure it out, So yeah, they saw these things. They saw my befores. They saw my afters, saw the videos in between of me throwing sledgehammers. They're like, this girl's crazy. And she's a CPA. Like, what the heck is she doing? So they interviewed me. I don't know. The interviewer was dying laughing the whole time. She's like, you're crazy. You're perfect. This is perfect. Like, so I got put on Battle on the Beach. And I had a blast. Like, would they try to make drama, right? And how they cut it up. But like, we laughed. Right. We laughed so hard. I mean, our camera guys, like, you need to redo that. We can't keep that film. I was laughing too hard because he'd be like shaking the camera because it's on his shoulder, So it was fun. It was a good experience.
That's awesome.
That's how they slid into my Instagram DMs, by the way. That's how they found me.
Oh, they slid into the DM. Of course. Yep. That's awesome. That's super interesting, actually. I didn't know that you had that Instagram page, and that's kind of how they found you. So that's new information for me too, but that's super cool. So you did that for a while. You were flipping.
Yep.
And then, but obviously you had this tax planning background.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and now you're doing all of this stuff with funds and private equity. And so it just feels like you made a pivot. What inspired that, pivot? Because obviously, like, you're still doing stuff in real estate, but there's just, there it is. What is it? Jackie Flips.
I changed it
Jacqueline
to Flips. Because I don't want to be called Jackie.
Flips.
It's not my name. Yeah. Jacqueline Flips. Yeah, it's still there. How funny. It's not even on my account, but it's there. Yeah. How did I change? Well, right. Like, when you're used to making 150 to 400 grand a flip, right? You're like, COVID's hitting. You're like, market's going to hit the bed. So don't want to be doing that. So I'm going to go into developments. I had always been investing in syndications, when I was in my corporate job, just to make more money. Cause I was like, get me out of this job. So, I was compounding my money for 7 years about. So, I had my salary. I put all my salary into my flipping business. And I had people, my RSUs, I would just cash them out and put them into real estate. So I was chugging, and I knew that I've always known, like, funds are the yacht space. That's when you get into the sexy money, and you don't have to have that much money in it, if any at all. So, for me, it was just, I have the background, I have the SEC experience. People want to give me money all the time, especially after I got off on the show in 2022. People are like, I just want to invest with you. I just want to give you money. And one guy was like, I want you to do hotels for me. And I was like, I don't know anything about a hotel. Like, that does not interest me at all. Like, people do not interest me at all anymore. So I just decided in 2020, like, I was going to cash everything out and rebalance my portfolio. 2021, I left my corporate job. So I was like, all right, it's time to make money. It's time to print. Like, it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is and, copy what my clients do. So, I just moved to Vegas, took a year off in 2022, started my real estate funds and went into storage. I like storage. It's a month-to-month lease. Clip the lock on, call the auctioneer, like Storage Wars. And like, maybe that's why I should be next Storage Wars girl.
There you go.
And then just like, so, I went into storage for reasons of I want to own multifamily in downturns. It's sad. It's tragic. There's always some story I'm an empath, here to help people. Storage is easy money because there's so much gentrification and there's holes in the market, like massive demands, 700,000 square feet of demand. Like you could put 3 of them up and you're still rocking and rolling. So so I got into that, and then I'm building for the government. I'm building for people. Like, I don't know, I'm just having fun.
That's awesome. So you said something there too. It's like, hey, the funds are where the real money is. It's interesting because I feel like, so my background, I was a real estate team leader and before that was just a realtor. And I remember when I got my real estate license, I thought, this is it. This is how I'm going to make the real bucks. All right.
God, no more. Realtors are going to be obsolete. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. Come learn. Come learn.
It is a dying opportunity vehicle. I will say that for sure. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I pivoted was because I saw the writing on the wall. And then, obviously I started my real estate team and grew the business and started my, and I was like, well, this is how I'm going to make the real bucks. And like now on the other side of all that, and I'm like, wow, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. And it's not even about it's not even for me about the money. It's about,
freedom.
It's about the challenge that is presented within each, because I don't like easy shit, I get bored very easily, but like this shit's hard, but in a good way. It's challenging and it challenges you in so many different ways. And because it's so challenging, the rewards are that much higher.
Yes.
Right. And because you're put in a position where you have to perform every single day. Not that I didn't have to before, but like in a different way, right? At a different level. So anyways, it's just, I have to say, like, I totally agree with you there. And even though we have different backgrounds, it's interesting how we both kind of found our ways into the same space. So I'm really just, I'm curious when it comes to tax saving strategies on the fund level, right? Mm-hmm. So now that we've got, how have you, implemented some of the strategies that you learned earlier on now in this phase of your career, and what are some things that listeners back at home, whether they're LPs or sponsors, can kind of take away from this? Because I would love for people to walk away with some fucking nuggets, especially on the tax saving side of things from a fund level.
Yeah, I will say real estate people are not the best financial listeners because they're like, I'll just add more properties and depreciate it. And I'm you ever heard of that thing that's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket?
True. Mm-hmm.
Food for thought, food for thought. Don't stick in any one market. Don't stick in any one asset class. And so for me, from a tax perspective, right? Like, again, it's that financial sense, right? You got to have that base established that, okay, if I made $250,000 adjusted for inflation, cost of living, how do I grow a financial base that's going to hit that while I'm working? And then anything you're doing while you're working is extra credit. So most people are too busy running up credit cards and trying to keep up with the Joneses, rather than thinking about, if I spend 5 years of my life focused on my financial base and getting the hamster wheel going for me, where I'm not working, it's working for me, they can track it, right? So like in that, indexed universal life insurance policies, like I'm a huge proponent. I take clients. In fact, I was at a coffee shop last night taking a client who's a contractor, converting his whole structure into a C corporation with LLCs underneath, and pumping indexed universal life insurance because he's a contractor. What if he gets injured on the job? Who's going to pay his bills? Nobody. But I can use that policy to pay his bills. So it is tax deductible the way we do it. He has a really hard time retaining high talent, like good talent, because everyone's trying to overpay. So I said, okay, cool. Put indexed universal life bonuses on your employees and use that as an incentive program. And he's like, I can do that. I'm like, yeah, it's tax deductible, you know? So when we look at, when we look at the world of life and the world of taxes, right? Like captive companies, captive insurance companies. This is why C Corps make 2/3 of the GDP and pay 9% of the Treasury Department's revenue in it. But yet every CPA is taught double taxation. Don't do a C Corp. I hear it all the time. And I'm like, run your GD numbers, because you clearly don't know how to do tax planning, right? And if the corporate rate is at 21 and the US individual rate is 37.5, just on a federal, not even adding state taxes, God bless California, you know, like that's a 15% tax savings. I just gave you 15% more back in your pocket. And now you're off to the races with that 15% investing in, which is going to make you more, right? So not only did I save you money, but then I put it in investments, right? And there's a lot of tax deductible investments that people don't know about. Index universal life insurance, 831B plans, which are captive insurance plans, so that if anything happens to you, business disruption, COVID, you can pull from those plans. Another one, 401ks, profit sharing plans, all of those kinds of things. Those are tax deductible. You're putting in an investment vehicle where guess what rich people do? They turn around and buy stock of their own new corporation and they fund their new business and they're off into the races. It's not sitting in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. That's not what they're doing. They're putting in business ventures, tax-free, penalty-free. Don't liquidate it. That's the worst thing you could do. Like Grant Cardone always says, oh, liquidate your 401k. I'm like, you're an idiot. Point blank. You don't understand money. You don't talk about money. You have no business talking about money. You're not an expert. You got lucky. You know, he got lucky and he has good advisors now. But it's one of those things, you know, you really, really, really have to focus and pay attention to the more you cut, you're saving, which means the more you can invest. Most people are like, oh, I need to buy a new car so I don't pay taxes. I'm like, go buy oil and gas fund. You'll have 90% tax depreciation for every dollar you put in. You get 90 cents back. And it's earning like 800% ROI over 7 years. Like, come on, man. Like, so I think learning those tax deductible investments, the funds where you're not having to work. You know, I had a guy call me on December and he's like, I have a huge check coming in and I don't know why I don't want to pay taxes. What do? I said, at this point, go to my oil and gas guy. Like, I can't help you, you know, and it's forever grateful, you know, like 10% leakage on $1 million plus of money. It's a lot of money. So, you know, it's one of those things like, look at what is tax deductible and gonna not only save you taxes, but also earn you income. Cause that's a double whammy, right? You're making money saving and then you're making money investing, right? And that's how you get yourself out of a doom loop where you're paying credit card debt and you're up in an upcycle, right? And you're up in an upcycle, one decision, like move all your debt to a 0% credit card and pay it down and you're out. That's it, right? So there's ways of like stopping that doom loop, like kind of sticking the screwdriver in the crankshaft and like causing the whole machine to freeze and then get yourself out of that situation so that when you pull the crank, you can turn the crank the other way, right? Now you're going in an easier motion. Some people would say making money is not easy, but when you learn how and you see how people do it, it's very easy. You know, like you're learning, right? It's not easy finding money, but when you find the money and the deal works, it's a lot of money, right? Way more money than you 100%. Could do by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something interesting there that I want to revisit really quickly. And for those that like wealth of like encyclopedia. Anyways, I was just like, cause you just sit there and you're like, yeah, I know everything that you're saying. I'd like, yes. And also like encyclopedia. Anyways, you said something there, the depreciation, and wealthy people will understand, hey, invest in things not only that save you money, but make you money. Very interesting concept, right? Because like you cannot, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know everything, but I don't know of any stock that you can invest into that will simultaneously save you taxes and obviously like if the stock hopefully goes up, right? You're making the stock's appreciating or dividends, whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no such thing exists.
No.
Right. So what you're referring to then, presumably, is like the idea that like when you're investing in things like especially like real estate funds, there's cash flows a lot of times, depending on the deal. There's appreciation, right? So there's tremendous upside.
Yep.
Typically, if you pick the right sponsor, the right deal. And also at the same time, tremendous tax saving benefits, especially if you're cost segregating. There's like, if it's a development deal, obviously you've got a ton of depreciation benefits there. Hotels, not to toot my own horn here, but like one of the most highly sought after real estate vehicles to invest in, simply because everything in the hotel, not everything, not the little soaps. My mom loves those, by the way, the little soaps. Not the little soaps, but the case goods, the TVs, all of that stuff is depreciable. Yes. And so it's super fascinating that you kind of tied that all together, because it's actually the perfect way to say it. It's like, find investment vehicles that not only make you money, but save you money. And it's just like mic drop.
It's the ultimate compounding, right? Like, people are always like, oh, compounding interest. And I'm like, what does it mean to you? Like, let's really talk about, what does this mean to you, right? And like, when you really peel back the layers of the onion, like yesterday I had a guy who's like, if I give you $100,000, you can make me like a millionaire in 5 years, right? And I started laughing and I said, I can do nothing. You are, the devil of your future, and you are the common denominator in your life. I can tell you what to do. It doesn't mean you're going to follow my advice, right? But the thing is learning to ratchet back, right? So I said, look at your P&L right now. If you were sued for a roof falling in, he was a contractor, a roof falling in on a client, they'd come after your house, they'd come after your cars, they'd come after your dog, your wife, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to come after you with the book because you've commingled all your money. You're telling me $30,000 of your house is office deductions. And then you're telling me you need a car to lease for work when you work at home. Like, do you hear the story your accountant has made for you and like how terrible this advice is? Like, you're better off just giving yourself enough money from your business to pay your personal crap and keep it over there, because you are in a high risk business. And then we will dump the rest of it. Take what you need to live off of, leave the rest in the business, and we will take it and reinvest it for you. And that is the best advice I can give you at this point, And then I said, and depending on how much you're willing to cut and save is how much I'm willing to make you, And most people don't like hearing that. They don't want to hear, oh, I can't have my $8,700 a year for my 2 car leases or a month. It was a month. I'm like, no, you can't have those. Like, what is the point? And they're like, damn, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Like Rolls Royces? Like, I mean, you could lease a Lambo for like $2,500. Like,
and then I'm like, is your car wrapped?
Not that I've looked into it or anything.
I'm like, is your car wrapped? No, and I'm like, is your car wrapped? Does it have your logo? Does it have your business name? No. Yeah. It's not a business vehicle. Like, you're not understanding the terms of the legal merit of the court cases that they're going to argue. And you're trying to like rob Peter to pay Paul for what? When I can come in and I could have put all that money in an oil and gas fund. You would have been literally zeroed out, and you would have been off into the races making a paycheck, $125,000 a month. It's that kind of money. And he was like, blink, 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 right? And I think that's where people really, it's where you really have to get clear with who you are and what are your priorities and what do you want, And I see it all the time. People start making money. They upgrade, right? I like a 2013 like Lexus, people give me shit all the time. They're like, why don't you go buy a new car? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm gone 6 months out of the year traveling. Like, I actually drove to San Jose. This is my travel schedule. I'm going from San Jose tomorrow to Fort Myers to Las Vegas because we have a team meetup on Monday at the Henderson property. Then I'm turning around and I'm going to Houston to speak and MC JT Fox's stage with Vanilla Ice and Adam Coffee and Phil Grove and all them. Then I'm driving to San Antonio to walk through for a lender and take pictures. Then I'm going to Austin, flying to North Carolina to do the same thing. And then I'm literally turning around and heading to San Jose to get my car. Like, I'm never home. Why am I going to pay for a car? I'm never home. What is the point? I'm literally going to what is the point in this? You know what I mean? I need a car like 4 days in Las Vegas and 3 days in Houston. And, it just doesn't make sense. So for me, it's one of those things that like, is that really going to be my identity? Yeah. I'm not going to buy a building with that $120,000.
I think it's a guy thing, Jacqueline. I think it's a guy thing, you know. I hear you. Don't get me wrong. Like, I hear you, but
Wait,
like,
you got a fancy car, sir.
one in one ear, out the other, for sure, dude. Yeah, like, I don't wear designer clothes, but I will have my car, dude.
Is it like a Spanish? What is it? What is it? Let's unpack
I don't know.
this.
I enjoy the power. I enjoy the speeds that I can. Not that I ever speed or anything, but if I were to speed, it would be a great vehicle to do it in. I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
see,
honestly,
if you were to speed, it's a great
if
vehicle.
I were to speed,
do you hear what I'm saying? Like, you're not even taking it to a racetrack or anything. Like, what is the point in this?
No,
You're
it's a
in
really good question.
Central in California, Tropic Central here.
It's like, you know, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's a guy thing, I think.
We're going to get you
like
more
guys,
girls?
we got to go fast. Well, my dating life right now is very sad. I'm dating my hotel fund and my recruiting business, and that's about it right now. So no, it's not the girls. Honestly, I have no idea. I think my
if I showed you the value of your car and the lease
I don't
amount,
need you to do that.
and I showed you the compounding interest on that.
I don't want to. I don't listen. I hear you, and you know what? Like, I feel like I know what the number is. I feel like I know what it is, and I accept that as the price of my happiness.
It's not going to hug you. What are you talking about?
I don't need it to hug me. I just need it to go
fast. Why you're single? Maybe.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, well,
I'm just teasing you.
I love it. I love my car. Dude.
I know.
Leave
I'm
me
just
alone.
roasting you.
Leave me
Just roasting you because I can. It's so easy.
Oh man. So
all in love.
We're cutting the show. We're cutting the show early.
We're all in love. All in love. You're good.
No, but in all seriousness, I love my car.
I know. It's a nice car.
It is. And I do, you know, I think that was part of the problem. I'll be honest with you. I think part of the problem is that I got a BMW. My first car was BMW. When I made like my third or fourth commission, that was the very first thing I did. And it, like, I don't know.
Would have bought a house.
Almost like should have bought a house.
Wait,
really, like in hindsight, like 1000%.
Time, value of money, inflation, cost of living.
But it almost like it's a constant reminder to yourself. Like, I don't know, when you're like in a jalopy or something, like you kind of feel like it's almost like it allowed me to like mentally play the part, if that makes sense. And then like I don't know, it fast tracked me because I was like, all right, now I gotta hustle, right? Because like I've got this thing and everything. I don't know, like maybe it's a slight psychological like boost. I don't know. Like I don't know. I really don't know, but I love it so much.
I mean, a confidence booster is always good. It's always good.
Yeah, it's not confidence. Maybe, I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but it was like almost like it made me want to work harder.
Oh, that's impressive.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
No.
Like,
no. I mean, I guess maybe you want to recover the money.
Kind of, but then also like, yeah, I don't know. Like it's almost
is it
like
one of those things you use as a carrot? Like if I hit this mark, I get to buy this card. Is it one of those things?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I like that.
Kind of.
Motivator.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I don't know.
What
Batman's
are you
not
going to do when
Batman
you close
without
your
the
first
Batmobile.
hotel?
Okay. So CJ and I were talking about this.
Let's do this.
So he's like, dude, we have to do something crazy. And I was like, what do you mean do something crazy? Like, bro, like, he's like, we have to do something like really fun. And like, so we're tossing around ideas, but actually I don't think I'm going to do the car. I think what we're going to do is we're going to invite we're thinking about like inviting all of our LPs out to New York to stay, like, well, assuming that it's the New York deal, right? Like it's looking good so far. Like we're like invite them out to New York, have them stay at the property, and then rent a suite out at one of the Yankees games, and go do that. So like that would be super fun, right? Because like
That's
it's like
dumb.
yeah. So that's what we're thinking about doing. But
Okay.
I don't know.
Like it.
That was an idea that I tossed out.
You gotta have rewards, and you gotta have like, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're getting
So
ready
it
to
could be
close
fun.
3 deals. So it's, I get it.
Well, then it's got to be like 3 times as exciting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like space, like why don't you just take one of those rockets and like go up to space?
No, that does not interest me at all. No. I'm actually going to take my kid cousins who turned 21, and I'm going to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Family
I
trip.
like that. Cruise or you're gonna fly over there and then just
Going to get an Airbnb.
I have a little acid reflux right now.
What?
Let me say that.
It's not a hotel. Hey, why don't we make a hotel in Belize? I'll go in on a Belize hotel with you.
That'd be dope. I actually know, well, I know that they have some, I don't know of any hotels right now, but
I know someone who built one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a deal there, I don't know, like 8 months ago. Maybe it's still available. I bet it's still available, but, Belize, huh? You like Belize?
Never been. Just want to go. I hear it's very affordable. It's a great destination, travel destination. And if I owned it, then I wouldn't have to pay to stay, you know? I mean, I would pay, but it's going back in my own pocket. So whatever.
Well, I will keep that in mind the next time that a Belize deal comes across my desk. Yeah. We'll just go in on it together 50-50. Screw everyone else. We'll just...
we'll be ready.
Spy it.
We'll be ready.
In traditional gold mine fashion, Jacqueline,
yes,
we're coming up on time here. Why don't you leave the audience with one final Gould nugget?
Oh God, gold nugget. I don't know. I don't know what I have to say that's a gold nugget. You're putting me on the spot. I mean, I think what I tell my students, there's 2 things that I'm going to leave them with 2. That's okay with you?
That's fine. It's a bonus.
The advice I give to every mentee, client, person that asks me how I got where I'm at, whatever it is, 2 things. 1, know your why. And everybody's like, oh, I know my why. I'm like, does your why bring you to tears? And if not, it's not strong enough. Like, I take these people that I'm like mentor and I will break them down. I'm like, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And they're just like, you see their inferiority complex kick in, you get the insecurities, like everything starts to rear up. And I'm like, why are you doing and embarking on this new journey that's going to be grueling, hard, horrible? You're not going to know why you did it. You're going to quit unless your why is big enough. So like, if that why does not make you choke up and like start to tear, you don't have a why. So I don't even want to hear it. I will break you in 30 seconds and make you find your why. And that's like very important, right? Because I mean, Danny, you know, like you're tested daily. I'm like, breathe. Like there's some days you're like living on this much cash flow because you put it in a deal and you're like, right? And you got to have faith. There's a lot, right? So you got to have that why. Like, why am I going all in? Like, it's like you're going 100% all red on your name in that roulette table. And if you're not willing to do that and you're not willing to like work through all of the emotional stuff with that very clear North Star, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And you're going to go back to your job and be like, oh, hey, I couldn't figure it out. It's so-and-so's fault. No, it's your fault. You didn't sit down and have a hard enough. So make sure your why is like when you read it, write it down. Cause then it solidifies it in your conscious, subconscious, and your hypothalamus. Like write it down. And when you put it on your door, when you're walking out of your bedroom and you look at it, it better make you cry. And if it's not making you cry anymore, you got to go back. You got to refine it. So that, and sometimes you gotta, I mean, I kind of do mine like 5 times. So, hey, it's life in a year, you know? And then my other piece of advice would be, it's the old Henry Ford quote, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Right. And if you don't believe it and you don't think it's possible, you never will. And this is where I have people come in, they're like, I'm stuck at 500 grand, I can't break through the 500 grand ceiling. Like, you'll learn in consulting, we always look at the 2 to 7, like 2 to 7 in the front of the numbers. When they're in those metrics, like, it's really easy to get to 200 grand. It's hard to get over 7 million, right? Like 700 grand, 2 million, 7 million. There's hurdles and things that have to change in your business to get over those. And those were our targets when I worked at Ernst Young. Like, we love those clients. And it's because, you know, I'm like, do you believe you deserve $1 million in a year? And they'll like look at me and be like, I mean, it's unnecessary. I'm like, there's why you're not having it. Like, right there, you know, this is why you can't break through. And if you don't believe it, you don't feel it, you don't see it, and you don't know why you're getting that number and what you're going to do with it, it can't be you. It can't be cars, houses. Like, if you're working for material things, it's not going to work. That's why you got to have a really clear why, and it's got to hit you deep, you know, and then you're able to push through these barriers because you're much more humble. And you know, like, I need this to get to my next place, right? Like, Alex and I joke all the time. He's like, I want to solve world hunger and human trafficking. And I'm like, I just want to rebuild the middle class and bring it back to normal size. And people think I'm delusional. And I'm like, I mean, I've touched a lot of people's lives. Last year, I had 75 clients. It's a lot. You know, that was a lot of people I impacted. And then I got the referral chain, right? Hey, I heard you made this guy $1 million. Can you help me? Hey, you made him go from 0 to 750. Can you help me? Right? And it's those kinds of things. Like, as people start to see the proof of concept, which I don't blast on social media, I'm really terrible at it. Should. It's one of those things, like, it's working with that mindset, the worthiness, the deserving, the limiting beliefs. Like, do you love yourself enough to love yourself to have $1 million? Like, it sounds so silly, but like, a lot of people they hit that wall. Like, oh, if I have $1 million, I'm going to be responsible for my whole family. If I have $1 million, everyone's going to call me. Now the worry of how to deal with that kind of money kicks in, you know, and you got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of it. You got to have a very clear why. And that's why they kind of go hand in hand, because if you don't think you can, and you don't believe you can, and you don't believe it's possible, like, why can't you have your dream girl, your perfect business, y'all work together and you live happily ever after? Why is this not possible? Because you don't believe it. So you sabotage it. That's why, you know, and I think, like, we sabotage ourselves every day in simple things, you know, like, when some bad event happens, our whole day is, it was like the worst week ever because this one thing happened. No. That event happened. Leave it there. Don't give it more meaning. It doesn't need to control your whole day, your whole week. Like, just say, like, parking lot. We're going to parking lot that for now. You know, I'll come back. Yeah. You know, and I think it's interesting being on the inside of people. And when people like open up and they're vulnerable with me, you know, I take that is sacred. That is the biggest form of intimacy I'll ever get. And that they trust me, you know, but it all starts between these 2 years. And if you can't, if you can't let go, you can't move on, it's trapped, and you're trapped, and you're going to get stuck. Okay. And that's not a good place to be, because life change is the only constant, you know? So those are my 2 gold nuggets I would leave for your followers.
Love it. Yeah. I would agree with you. I mean, having, led an organization where, I saw a lot of people come in and not get to where they wanted to go, and a smaller subset, still a significant amount of those people get to where they wanted to go. I would say that fighting those demons between the ears, 1000% is the biggest hurdle, So could not agree more. Jacqueline, thanks for your time, girl.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here with you.